You are tuned into a special player spotlight interview on the CS Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CS Podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible, bringing you the names that you need to know first since 2002. Visit NFLDraftBible.com. I'm your guys' host, Chris Shanafelt, and joining the show now for a player spotlight interview is 2016 NFL Draft prospect, offensive lineman James Tabor out of Friends University, which for those who may not be familiar is an NAIA program. Thanks for taking some time today, James. Now, before we actually talk about your time at Friends, I want to talk about the FCS Bowl, which you participated in this past week. Talk about how you feel you performed and what was it like to go up against some Division I guys?
I'm pretty, after this weekend, I think I had a pretty solid weekend. At first, it's a different game. It's faster, much faster than playing in the KCAC. But, especially after, we got a couple reps in, I start feeling like this is just like I was at home, very comfortable with how I played this weekend. I always there's a lot of stuff I need to improve on, especially after watching the film. And there's a lot of stuff I need to do going into, this off season, preparing for the draft. But, after this weekend, I feel that, I could compete with anybody at any level.
And they say that offensive and defensive linemen usually have the toughest transition when it comes to playing at the next level, James. Coming from an NAIA program in Friends University, did you see a big jump in talent from the guys that you were playing alongside and against at the FCS Bowl compared to the guys that you would be playing within the Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference?
Oh, most definitely. When you got guys that are, 6'4", 6'5", and they run like linebackers, we don't really see that too much in the KCAC. We have a few guys that are friends that, you'll probably be hearing about in the next few years that are just as big as some of these Division I guys I went up against. But, it's definitely a whole different ball game. Like the linebackers that I played against this past weekend with the size of some of the defensive linemen, or bigger than the defensive linemen I played in the KCAC. So it definitely was a big jump.
And did anybody catch your eye at the FCS Bowl? Whether it was a fellow offensive lineman or maybe a defensive lineman that you went head-to-head with, did anybody really catch your eye at all this past weekend?
Yes. There was a Jose Casanova from Stanford. Me and him went up against each other a few times, battled out in the one-on-ones. And also when we went team, there was a defensive lineman from Southern who was definitely pretty good. And then also on the offensive line, I got to play next to Damian Love from Alabama State, who I think is definitely going to probably be in somebody's camp come summer. And we definitely had some guys that definitely stood out, that you knew, like, hey, this guy's probably going to make it one day.
Right, yeah. There was a lot of talent down there in Miami, Florida for not only the FCS Bowl, but the National Bowl as well. Now, I do believe there was about 13 NFL teams that were represented down there in Miami for the FCS and National Bowl, James. Now, I'm not exactly sure how many CFL and AFL scouts were down there, but I know they were also in attendance. Any chance you were able to chat with any scouts or got the impression that a team was looking at you?
I didn't get a chance to talk to really any NFL teams. The night after our second practice, we were supposed to go meet with some teams and some agents, but there was a flooding going down in Miami, so it kind of canceled the meeting, the conference I was supposed to go on. So after the game, a lot of the scouts kind of just left. But there was a lot of teams down there. I got to meet the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and a lot of the scouts got to watch us do one-on-one, so they told us that if we didn't talk to anybody while we were down there, that a lot of teams would have all our information. So possibly we start getting calls here soon.
Nice. And now you mentioned the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, obviously of the CFL. Now, James, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you are open to playing in the Canadian Football League. You're not really just limiting yourself to the National Football League. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, yes, that's right. I'm open to the CFL, NFL, or even the AFL. I just want to, get a chance to, play at the next level, because it's always been a dream of mine. So I know no matter what level you start at, just like in college, you can always get to the top level.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? We see it every year. I mean, we see guys from the AFL, from the CFL. You know, they're in NFL camps. Some of these guys are eventually, they get a shot in the NFL. I mean, a couple of guys that come to mind is Delvin Breaux, now one of the better defensive backs for the New Orleans Saints. He started off out in the AFL. You got Cameron Wake, obviously, starting off in the CFL, who has had just an amazing career with the Miami Dolphins. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter where you started. What matters is where you finish at. And what I absolutely love about you, James, is that you're just looking for an opportunity to play football. I mean, you just love the game, and doesn't matter when and where you're playing at. But all that matters is the fact that you are playing. And obviously here you are looking to play at the professional level. Again, he is offensive lineman James Tabor, the 2016 NFL draft prospect out of Friends University. Joining me here on the CS podcast presented by the NUC NFL Draft Bible. And James, you did finish your collegiate career at Friends University, but you actually transferred there from Division II's West Liberty. Talk about why you made that decision, and what was it like making that transfer to a lower level of competition from the Division II level to the NAIA level?
Well, at Friends, I'm not Friends, but West Liberty, I started at West Liberty in 2011. And then my first year I ended up redshirting. And then my second year, I was at West Liberty. I ended up earning a starting job at right guard. And then I played that season. And then the 2013 year, because there was a money situation at West Liberty where I really couldn't afford to go to school there, I tried to transfer, but I was denied of transferring to any other Division II school. So I ended up sitting out. And only school I could really go to because of the NCAA rules, I could go to an NAIA school where I'd be eligible right away. So what happened was I ended up transferring to Friends in the spring of 2014, and they had brought me in. I never went in on the visit or anything, and then I just had to trust my heart and trust the coach's word, and then finally, got the Friends, and the coach was definitely, willing to give me an opportunity and to play for him, and I had a chance to win at KCAC. Unfortunately, we didn't, but it was definitely a great opportunity here, and it was also able, to stretch out, my college career, and now get me able to get to this point that I'm in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you weren't able to play this past season due to some transcript issues. How tough was that to not suit up for the Friends Falcons this past season after the success that you guys had the season before? Like you said, I mean, you guys challenged to win the conference. Now, I know this past season was a little different. I believe you guys finished 3-8. But I mean, talk about how tough it was to not be able to suit up for the team, to help the team out, and what were you doing to keep yourself in shape and ready for the FCS Bowl?
Well, I just basically when it happened, I'll never forget the day Coach had called me because we just had we were in our last week of camp. We're getting ready for Nebraska Wesleyan, and Coach called me in the middle of the day after one of our tour days. And he told me we had some bad news, and he told me about the situation that happened. And I was pretty much hurt because this was my senior year, and I had worked very hard for it, and going this season, being a first-team preseason All-American and first-team preseason All-Conference, it was like I felt like it was God's plan for me to have a big year this season. And I thought, my going this year, I want to win a national championship. And I felt we had the team to do it, but unfortunately, it wasn't in God's plans for me this year to play. But, I just basically just kept my head held high, and I just prayed, and I just kept working. And, at first, I really didn't know what was going to go down because, coming from an NAIA school, the best thing you need to do is be able to have your name out there and get filmed. And, not having my senior film, I felt that was going to hurt me. And, but obviously, ended up getting, once I got invited to the FCS Bowl, it just took everything to a next level. So I just stayed working out, stayed training at Friends. I worked out with Darren Marquez. He used to play for the Indianapolis Colts. He plays for an NFL team in town here, Wichita Forest. So I worked out with him and, just basically just trained every day until it was time to go to Miami. But I just felt that just whatever I had to do, I just knew I couldn't give up. And that's basically, that got me to where I'm at right now.
And again, you did just play in the FCS Bowl just this past weekend, and you may have some other opportunities as well. Those are not obviously guaranteed just yet, but we'll be waiting to hear on those, whether or not you are able to participate in those other opportunities. Now, I know that the FCS Bowl, you played left guard, and you mentioned while you were at West Liberty, you were playing right guard. There's no doubt that you are a pretty versatile offensive lineman. I think you can play pretty much anywhere on that offensive line, at least taking a look at your tape. Is there a specific spot on that offensive line that you prefer to play more than any other spot?
I'm really just kind of open to wherever, coach would need me to play at. If coach needed me to play at center, which everybody kind of been telling me that that's part of my future if I really want to make it to, the NFL or the CFL. That's definitely something that I've been working on a lot. But I can definitely play guard. I can play center. I play right tackle here at Friends, and I'm willing to play wherever coach will need me at or wherever team wants me to play.
And how tough is that? I mean, obviously it's a great tool to have a very versatile offensive lineman, but talk about how tough that is. I mean, I know it's totally different footwork. I mean, the guard and tackle position, I mean, they're two totally different things. I think when you're playing guard, you kind of got a little help from the center, from the tackle. When you're playing tackle, I mean, you're on an island by yourself. I mean, talk a little bit about how tough and how different those two positions are.
Oh, it's a totally difference because, before I came to Friends, I haven't played offensive tackle since I've been a freshman in high school. So, moving out there and being on the island, at first, when I got here, it was sometimes kind of hard because, we playing against guys, being at West Liberty where I was at guard, and I was going up against guys that were, 290, 300 pounds, and then come to NEI, and we playing that tackle against guys that, they could be as big as Deron Bruce, that's, 240, 250 pounds, or they might be, 190 pounds. So it was definitely, you had to definitely work on your technique and just basically, stick to your form, and also, just knowing the plays so you can be comfortable out there.
Absolutely, and even playing, right tackle, it's totally different from playing left tackle. I mean, you kind of got like this muscle memory where you're kind of used to, playing the one position. But like you, you're a very versatile offensive lineman. Whether it is playing guard, tackle, or maybe even center in your future. Now, as you know, James, I mean, Friends University or West Liberty, for that matter, isn't very well represented in the National Football League. And I know that both you and your teammate Jacob Adelman, who also played in the FCS Bowl, and I actually plan on chatting with him sometime in the near future. I know that you two are both chasing the same dream, that is to play professional football. Why do you feel that you have what it takes to, play in the National Football League, to play in the Canadian Football League, coming from the NAIA level?
Well, even though I come from, I went to Friends University and I went to West Liberty, I mean, I'm from Warren, Ohio, and Warren, Ohio is, it's a football hotbed.
Oh, yeah.
And so this has been, installed in me since I've been young to being a competitive athlete. So, just seeing guys like Mario Manningham, Maurice Claret, the Boone Heron, Corey Stringer, and seeing those guys come from my city and make it, that just make me feel like, I need to keep driving to make it as well. And I feel that even though I come from a small school, that I feel that I can play with, with anybody, and that's just kind of how my nature and my bloodline runs. Just because it's been installed with us. I've been playing against the best players, all the way up until college. From high school to, from just growing up young, I've been playing against the best players there has to offer. So I feel that whatever level that I end up at, I feel that, even though I come from a small school, I have what it takes.
And I think that's the mindset that every small school player has to have when they are looking to pursue a professional football career. Now, it could be from when you're at West Liberty. It could be from when you're at Friends. Hell, it could even be from this past weekend at the FCS Bowl. Who would you say is the best player that you've had to go up against, throughout your collegiate career?
My collegiate career, probably some of these guys I went face up this weekend. The defensive was a defensive end from Southern Illinois. I'm not sure what his name was, but he's one of the best. Him and the guy from Tennessee Tech, they're definitely some of the best. And then also Nate Milewski from West Liberty. He was one of my teammates, and he was definitely probably one of the best defensive tackles I've faced. And also Dylan Delk from Tabor. He was the best player in our conference this past year on defense, and he's definitely one of the best I've played against.
All right, great. I mean, you gave us a little taste of, some of the talent in Division II, NAIA, and just from this past weekend at the FCS Bowl. Again, he's offensive lineman James Tabor, the 2016 NFL draft prospect out of Friends University, also formerly of West Liberty. He participated in the FCS Bowl this past weekend. And just a couple more questions for you, James, and then I'll let you go. Any plans for your pro day? I mean, do you have any idea where you might be participating in any pro days at, any future combines, regional combines, anything like that?
Right now, I've especially just after to come off the SES Bowl, I've kind of been sitting back and trying to see, figure out what I was going to do next. I wanted to see maybe after one of these opportunities what I would do for a pro day, or where I would go. Possibly one place I've been looking about is Youngstown State because that's the hometown school. So maybe going back home and maybe doing a pro day there. But right now it's kind of up in the air. So hopefully here soon we kind of figure out, what's the next step.
Okay, sounds good. And any expectations or any goals that you have written down that you'd like to hit at your pro day? Now, obviously, I think a lot of people look at the 40 time. I think that's the most that's the activity that gets the most pub. And obviously for offensive and defensive linemen, the 40 time doesn't really matter as much as it would for a running back or a wide receiver or maybe even quarterback nowadays. But any goals? I mean, do you have anything written down for the bench press or anything like that?
Well, hopefully, I can get the bench press anywhere close to 30 times, because I know, especially coming from, a small school, you need to be at the top of, the boards on everything. So if I can get the bench press anywhere close to 30 times and be able to run, a sub five flat 40 or anywhere underneath a 5-1, that's definitely those goals that I'm pointing to, and hopefully be able to, show that my pro agility, which is probably my biggest strength in testing, being able to run a good time in that will definitely be keys, to my pro day.
Yeah, and as you know, I mean, you kind of already mentioned it. I mean, a pro day could do wonders for small school guys like yourself. And final question for you, James: if an NFL general manager was listening to this very interview, let's say an NFL general manager, a CFL general manager, an AFL general manager, if a professional football team's general manager was listening to this very interview, why should they want the very versatile offensive lineman out of Friends University, James Tabor, a part of their team?
Because I believe that on and off the field that, I'm going to show that I'm very reliable and that I'm a high character guy, that, I'm going to be somebody that you'll be able to rely on to come and be consistent each and every game, each and every practice, each and every day in the weight room, and be there in each and every conference meeting that we'll have. I believe that I just want one shot to just prove myself and prove that just because, I might be from Friends University that, I'm just as good of a guy that, might be from Ohio State.
Yeah, and you know what? It only takes one opportunity, one team to give you a shot, and the rest could be history after that. James, as I said, that was my final question for you, man. Certainly do appreciate your time, and again, congratulations on playing in this past week's FCS Bowl, and I'm certainly wishing you all the best as you gear up for the 2016 NFL Draft.
All right, thank you. I really appreciate you having me today.